Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 11th of March 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff, then just a very quick glance. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE. Now, looking at the FTSE here, looking at this 4-hour chart, basically you can say that since around mid-February, actually the index wasn't very an exciting place to be in, this index particularly, because it kind of started ranging here. Of course, for all the range traders, it's a bit of a paradise here, but still we can see that the index is currently stuck between this level right here on the upside, approximately around the 7,250 area, approximately there, and on the downside is the 7,065 level. So basically that's where we're going to keep on monitoring for now. Overall, we're still seeing that the index continues to trade above this short-term tentative upside support line taken from the lows of the 27th of December. For now we're going to continue monitoring this, just because at the moment, like I said, it could continue traveling sideways here, but if this decides to suddenly break below the lower side of this little range that we've got here, and of course breaks below the upside support line, well, I mean, we'll shift our views more to the downside, and we'll start aiming for this key area of support near the psychological 7,000 level. Of course, a break below that could send this index further down. Then the next good potential area could be around the 6,915 level. But again, we'll get to that point later if we see eventually a break here below the lower side of the this little range, and of course a break below, a confirmation break below this tentative upside support line. And again, like I said, this is when we will target the psychological 7,000 level. And for those who are very cautious on everything, in a way, you could just wait until we see a drop below the psychological 7,000 level and only then start looking to the downside. But again, like I said, for now it's going to be a bit of a tricky one, even let's say to call it to the downside at this point. In terms of the upside, well, I mean, again, there are some good potential barriers here on the upside, and probably we will be those who are going to take it more cautiously. And to be honest, we're just going to wait until we see a nice good pop above the 7,245 level in order to consider further acceleration to the upside. Now, we do have a nice downside resistance line running here from the highs of May, basically last year. So this potential downside, tentative of course, but still this downside resistance line could be that nice target, but only if we see a nice good pop above the 7,245 level. But for now, until we see those breaks here, it could continue ranging here, and like I said, for now we're just going to continue monitoring it. And also don't forget that we do have the big events happening this week, starting from Tuesday on the UK political arena. So and that's of course regarding Brexit. So yep, keep your eyes on that, keep your eyes on those developments. I'll talk about the GBPUSD later on here, but for now, like I said, this is the situation with the FTSE. FTSE is kind of stuck here, ranging a little bit. So yep, keep your eyes on these areas and be very cautious with this index. Jumping into silver. Now, silver had a fantastic push on Friday. Started off on Thursday, of course, and late at night, and then kind of continued pushing further up on Friday. So overall, still kind of trading below this upside support line. It's a bit of a tentative one, guys, so don't rely on it too much. Just keep it as a little gauge here, but still, this is what we're keeping an eye on. Of course, some could argue that why don't you draw it this way then? This could be, of course, a good idea as well, but for now, of course, you could keep an eye on this one. This is a new line that, for example, that could confirm further declines if we see a break of it. But again, like I said, this is where we're going to keep on monitoring as well. This line, this is a bit of a tentative one still, but we're going to keep on monitoring it. But for us, in order to get more excited with the upside here, we would like to see a nice good push back above the 15.50 level, and only then we'll consider further acceleration to the upside. You can see that 15.50 level acted as a very good area of support in the past, so now it could take the role of resistance, and also it coincides here on the 4-hour chart with the 200 EMA. So basically, long story short, guys, in terms of the upside, we'd like to see a nice good push back above the 15.50 level, and only then we'll target higher areas like the 15.75 and above. On the downside, this is where we're going to take a bit of a careful approach here. Now, even if we see a drop below the 15.25 level, certainly the commodity could slide towards the retest of the 15.15 level, but of course, slightly below that, we do have that psychological 15 level as well, which could provide some good support if we see silver traveling towards it. But for those who are more on the cautious side, now you can see I've got this line here highlighted. This is basically a level to watch if you're looking for something more, maybe more medium term to long term. And basically a drop below the 14.90 level could confirm a further decline here, maybe a deeper slide here, where we could then target areas like the 14.65 or 55 as well. So for now, guys, certainly it is traveling, it's trying to push higher, but then again, we will probably take a more cautious approach here and wait until we see a push back above the 15.50 level in order to consider higher areas again. So keep your eyes on this one. Very interesting developments here. Let's see how this plays out later on. USDCHF. Now, USDCHF had a nice move last week to the upside, especially on Thursday, but you can see on Friday it sold off and managed to travel back down towards its upside support line. This upside support line that has been running here from the lows of the 28th of February. So a very short-term one, something for you guys to keep an eye on. So you can see I've got a highlighted area here, guys, and basically this level previously acted as a very good area of resistance. So back on the 6th of March and also on the around the 19th of February, so it held the rate down. But if we see a drop below this upside support line, of course, don't rush into those, don't rush into kind of examining the downside yet, because for a better confirmation, we would like to see a nice good drop below the 1.005655 area, approximately there. Basically this highlighted area that I've got here, and only then we will consider further declines like towards the areas like the 1.0020 or even the psychological 1.00 level. So keep your eyes on that one. Keep your eyes on this level right here. But again, like I said, we need to see a few breaks here initially before we consider further declines lower here, and maybe a move back towards the 1.0020 or the psychological 1 level. In terms of the upside, well, I mean, if this, you can see that it's currently today trading below the pivot, so which is at the moment slightly a bit of a negative sign here for this pair. But again, don't get me wrong, it's still the beginning of the day here, so in Europe, and we could see this one pushing higher. I mean, if we do see a push above the pivot, then yep, the next potential area that we're going to be keeping a close eye on is going to be the 1.01 1.01 level. Further acceleration to the upside, of course, could drive it towards the last week's highs near the this level right here at around 1.0118, or even actually slightly above that, the 1.0125 level, so which is the highest point of last week. But again, guys, in order to consider this area here, we need to see initially today a nice good pop above the pivot, which is approximately around the 1.009 level. So keep your eyes on that one. Again, like I said, we're not very far from it, but we're currently still trading below the pivot, so which is slightly a bearish sign. But then again, at the same time, we are still above this upside support line. So in a way, that's why, guys, we're not going to make a call here yet. We're just going to continue observing some key breakout points in terms of the upside. Once again, I'll repeat myself, in terms of the upside is the 1.009 level, and on the downside is the 1.0056 zone. So that's where we're keeping a close eye on today. Euro USD, this one is a bit of a tricky one. So it seems that right now, looking at this 4-hour chart, it seems that it wants to travel higher. It seems that this is what is building up here. It's potentially building up a possible breakout here, but again, there are some key, very strong areas of resistance on top here. So in a way, that's why we've got the arrow here starting from around the 112.50 level. So basically, a nice good push above the 1.1250 level, of course, could lift the pair a little bit higher. Now, there is a little obstacle here, looking at this 4-hour chart here, which is the R1, today's R1, which is around the 1.1257 area, approximately there. Also kind of coincides here with the 21 EMA shown here as the yellow line. I hope you can see that. So basically, for those who are more impatient, let's put it that way, a nice good push above the 112.50 could potentially, of course, open the path towards higher levels. But the only thing is that for those who are more slightly more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait until we see a nice good push above the R1 here and above the 21 EMA, and only then consider further acceleration to the upside, where we will then target the 1.1290 or even the of course the 113 level around here somewhere. But slightly above that, we do have the 113.25 level, which also acted as a very good area of support and resistance in the past. So that's the level that we're going to be keeping a close eye on if we get a nice pop above the 112.90. But for now, of course, in terms of the upside, we're going to be very cautious here. Certainly, like I said, it still has some good resistance barriers to overcome. So that's why the first one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on is going to be the 112.50. And then we'll just take it from there, see how it's performing, see the price action. And if it continues to travel above the R1 and the 21 EMA, then yep, we will target higher areas. On the downside, if this suddenly reverses back down and drops below the 112.25, of course, but to be honest, the more important one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on is the 112.15 level. Now, just to kind of remind you that the 1.1215 level acted as a very nice area of support here back in November. So in other words, the lowest point of November. So that's going to be, you can see that last week we did have a brief move lower here, but kind of still closed the week above the 112.15 levels. So this, of course, shows that the bulls are not really willing to give up yet. Of course, let's see if that's the case. If actually the bears manage to drive this one back below the 112.15, of course, we will target this recent low, this last week's low at around 1.1175. But as you can see here, I mean, a break below that could confirm a forthcoming lower low, and then we will target much lower areas. So for now, guys, it's probably mainly going to be a bit of a waiting game here and see which level will get broken first. Let's put it that way. So on the upside, once again, I'll repeat myself, we will start considering higher areas if we see a nice good pop above the 112.50, and on the downside is the 112.15 level that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. GBPUSD, certainly the big pair to watch this week, and of course GBP will will eventually probably get affected by the votes that we have on the on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And of course, you keep your eyes on that. Keep your eyes on the developments around Brexit talks. Overall, you can see that the pair is trading above this upside support line here, taken from the low of January the 2nd. The only problem I've got with the this low here is the fact that this was the January 2nd, that sharp sell-off, and to be honest, different platforms gonna have a different low here, so probably a more optimal level to watch here would be the low of the January 3rd, and then we can, if we draw a nice tentative upside support line, we can see that the pair still remains above that. There is still some room for a further slide lower, maybe a possible test of this upside support line, and possible maybe rebound from it if this line remains intact. Now, in order to consider further declines here, we would like to see a nice good drop below the 1.2970 level. You can see how well that level played out as a key area of support. You can see that back here on the 22nd of February, it acted as a very good area of support. So now it got held here again. Watch out for that level, guys. If this gets broken, then yep, we could see maybe a retest of this tentative upside support line that I was talking about. But if this fails to break this upside support line, then we could see something like this happening. But then again, it's very difficult right now to make a call on the GBPUSD, given the big news that are awaiting us on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So yep, let's for now keep our eyes on some of these key levels. Of course, you can see the pair is still trading below the downside resistance line, this very short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of February, and because for us this is going to be a bit of a neutral zone, to be honest. In order to consider higher levels, we would like to see a nice good push above the 131 level, and only then we'll consider higher areas. In terms of the downside, well, in a way, you could keep your eyes on this little area here of another potential area of support around the 129 level, something like that, approximately there. A nice good break here below this upside support line and a drop below the 129 level could potentially lead towards further declines. This is where we will target these lows that we saw here back in the mid-February, or in other words, the lowest points of February, and those were around the 127.75 areas, something like that. So keep your eyes on that. But again, for now, it's a bit of a tricky one. It's going to be very interesting to watch how this is going to perform, especially tomorrow. But again, like I said, keep your eyes on some of these key levels, and let's see how this plays out later on today and tomorrow as well. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.